26th century, mankind faces an epic struggle for survival. The forces of nature have spun wildly out of control.
Hey everybody, welcome to the latest edition of the Weekly Pulse. It's me here, Dan. You know, just relaxing here in the basement of Forbidden Planet with my dummy. Are you ready to talk about some comics? Because you know I am. What have we got? Let's start, I don't know if you were aware, it is Spider-Man week here in New York City, and what better way than to begin with Spider-Men #2. Now, you might have mentioned, you might remember last week I mentioned I wasn't really sure about how this was going to work. The first issue, great. The second issue, where Peter Parker and Miles Morales actually hang out, a lot of banter. A lot of banter. But good banter. I liked it. The stuff with Mysterio is really great. Some fun Nick Fury stuff here. If you like the first issue, you'll probably like this one. I would say keep reading. The other thing, Spider-Man this week, to coincide with the Spider-Man week, they decided they were going to re-release Amazing Fantasy #15. And they put a new paint job on it. And I actually think, I usually am really against this, I actually think it works really well. Because if you look at the old stuff, like I'm an old fart, and I love looking at comics. I love seeing the way they were colored and inked in the past, and I prefer that. But this, I read it and I thought, you know, if a young buck coming up now was like, I'm gonna what's that Amazing Fantasy #15? I don't know. They'd pick it up and be more likely to read it because they give it it looks more modern, even though they use the same original pencils. So it's interesting. I would say if you come to the store, just take a peek at it. You might actually get stoked. We're gonna move away, and before we get to any DC stuff, I had a couple other things. I wanted to mention that the new Angel and Faith came out, and I had mentioned the last Buffy too. This is the beginning of a new arc. They brought Willow over, and the chemistry is really, really solid in this one. I don't want to give too much away, but they bring in Willow, and in addition to Willow, they bring in some cast members of the Angel television show. So if you really like the Angel TV show and were like, where are those characters? Well, starting in this issue. So I would say check that out. And even though I'm not always big on the kick-ass, it's worth mentioning very quickly that Hit Girl #1 came out. So if you're a big Mark Millar person and you like kick-ass, then hey, that's for you. What else? Oh, here's a trade. Lagoon came out. This is volume 11. These issues came out pretty recently. I always encourage people to read Lagoon because you can read it whenever you want. You don't really need to know anything. That's the beauty of what Eric Powell does with this. It's so simple. It's just a big, like, guy that beats people up. He beats up a lot of zombies, and everybody in the town loves him, even though he's a bit of an ass. And he beats up some Twilight zombies right in the first chapter. So if that doesn't tell you that it's a book worth reading, I don't know what will. It's good. Look, okay, so everyone was real excited about Dinosaurs vs. Aliens coming out. Grant Morrison, Barry Sonnenfeld. When I was a kid growing up, back in the dark ages, when I was a child, there were two things that all kids loved, especially boys, but often children regardless of gender. One of those things was dinosaurs, and the other thing was aliens. This, a book combining the two, you would think, let's make an all-ages book. Let's make something that is not too complicated, just something that is simple, fun, a romp. No. Grant Morrison and Barry Sonnenfeld, they were like, we are going to tell a serious tale about the origin of mankind on Earth and the war between aliens and dinosaurs that made it happen. That is not the book that I would want to read, but if that is the thing you're looking for, if you're a huge Grant Morrison Gotta Read It All fan, I mean, look, take a look at it. All ages, something fun, lighthearted, you know, like Men in Black, Barry Sonnenfeld, right? It says right at the top that he's the Men in Black guy, and instead it's just, it's a little serious, a little more serious than I would have liked. You know, dummy, you're not even looking at me anymore. You are the worst co-host in history, and I'm not going to stand for it anymore. So, you're out. I'm replacing you. Oh, hey! Hi.
Hi. Hi.
Welcome to the basement of Forbidden Planet.
Hi. Yeah, this is great.
Is it? Yeah.
Yeah.
It's good. Did you want to read some comics with me?
I did actually.
Oh, that's...
I was reading this huge stack of comic books, and then suddenly I was in a basement.
What a crazy coincidence. Well, since I just cued you into existence, as it were, I figured, I know that you did not have a chance to read this, but the second issue of the Star Trek Next Generation Doctor Who crossover, it's number 2, and you like the Doctor Who, and
I do.
You're doing a Star Trek The Next Generation rewatch.
As a matter of fact, I am.
So if you were, let's say, like arbitrarily, there was going to be a Star Trek The Next Generation current series Doctor Who spin-off, what's going to happen? What do you want? What's in there?
I'm going to want some Borg.
You're going to some Borg?
Yeah.
You're going to get it. There's some Borg happening here. The first issue will focus on the Doctor. This one, a lot of Star Trek The Next Generation cast members. It's still got that nice sort of like painterly effect to it. It's a little static sometimes, but it's kind of cool because it makes you feel a little more like it's a TV show because it's not like an artistic rendition of. It's like almost photographic kind of painted style, which is fun. But you know, the Doctor acting a little Q-ish, if you will. Picard not really having it, and then a big.
So is there a lot of interplay, Picard and Doctor?
It is. It gets there eventually, but there's also like some fish people and Worf talking about how he wants to eat them, which you know I like Worf with his weird sense of humor.
Yes.
I'm a big fan. So this is good. This is good. You should read this one, I think.
All right.
Even if you didn't read number 1, well, we got it back in stock, so you should read them both. Don't be stupid.
Crazy.
Scott Tipton's killing it. He's the man. Hey. So you read this one too, didn't you?
I did.
All
I
right,
read this old boy.
We were gonna hold off a little later, but why not? Why not get to the main course? So you know that I've been reading all of these, even though I've had some reservations, and I was really nervous about Mike Straczynski doing Night Owl, and I feel that I was right to be nervous. But I'll let you speak.
I had reservations. I thought that I would jump in and give it a try regardless. The worst criticism I think that I can give it is that it was really rushed. It felt like the story was it was rushed. He wanted to say a lot. I'm not sure it needed to be said. That's a whole different argument. And it was said really quickly. So,
yeah.
I don't know if you felt that way.
For me it was like always the same problem I have, which is that in the past, with the first 3 that I read, it didn't need to be told. The Watchmen story, written well, buttoned up, it's done.
Yeah.
But at least I felt with, especially the comedian, it was really well told, that unnecessary story. This one, the pacing was a little weird, I guess Mike Straczynski has some big-time daddy issues, because the father-son interplay in this, like, if you really like a dark, broody father-son story, like, I guess this is for you. I like father-son story. I like one with a happy ending. This one, not quite so uplifting.
I think this, unfortunately, actually changes the way that Watchmen reads as a collection, the original, and I'm not crazy about that. It's a little bit retconny in a weird way to me. And I don't know how I feel about that business at all.
Yeah, I mean,
again, that's a bigger issue, whether you agree or not, that they should be doing it before Watchmen. That's sort of a part of that. But,
right, I mean, like, you kind of have to say something, but I don't know if this is the... I mean, you read it...
People have their own feelings about it. Give it a shot if you're curious about it. If you want to know Night Owl's backstory, this is certainly a version that you can look to.
Yeah, so, it's the only one.
It's the only one that's right here.
Right now. Hey. You read a bunch of stuff that I didn't read.
I did.
Would you please tell me?
I certainly shall. Speaking of Alan Moore, I read The Century 2009.
Right, of the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen.
Boy.
I heard it was pretty extraordinary, in fact.
It was extraordinary indeed. I read the first few trades. I missed the 1969 edition, although I think that this reads fine without it. Very interesting. I think that it is very telling, the way that Alan Moore feels about modern culture and society, and anything you may or may not have looked up about this on the internet. It's true. It's all true. It's horrifying in the way that Alan Moore is very best at doing. I wish that I had had a camera rolling when I read it, because I'm sure that my face was pretty great.
Yeah.
It's surprising. It's got Alan Quarterman back in the game, and it's got Mina back in the game, and those are my faves from the earlier works. So, you know, you're a completist, you love Alan Moore, definitely give it a read. This would not be my introduction to the series for new readers, however. It's a lot of in-jokes, it's a lot of like, this is how Alan Moore feels about pop culture, and he is not real positive about it. But definitely worth a read. And if you haven't read the other ones, you should read the other ones first.
Yeah, yeah.
Definitely read the first two, which are great. And then this trilogy, the Century trilogy, is very different.
It's a bit of a time. I feel kind of like you're like a teacher who just read a paper by like little kid Alan Moore, and you're like, see me after class.
I don't want to mark it F, but man, you should see the school psychiatrist, Alan Moore.
All right, what else? What else did you read?
This, I did not know what to expect. It is Marvel's Mystery Men. And I have seen it on shelves before, and I was very dismissive. I was like, Mystery Men, no Shoveler.
Yeah, agreed.
No Mr. Furious, that's not Mystery Men. I gave it a read because now it is out in trade. Man, phenomenal. It's right up my alley. I love the old pulp-style books. It harkens very much back to the, speaking of Alan Moore, to the top 10 49ers that he did. It's very much a love song to that era of comic books. And oddly, I didn't realize this when I was reading it, but the afterwards sort of says this is a part of the Marvel Universe. They mentioned Baron Zemo towards the end. So this is all canon. This is going to actually set up for you, I don't know, I guess the birth of the superhero in the Marvel Universe. Very interesting, very well written. Some lines that actually made me chuckle out loud like a big dork. If you hadn't read it in single issues, pick up this trade. It is great if you love that old pulpy style. If you love a noir, fantastic read. I cannot recommend enough. You've got to read this.
I will. All right. I'll get
Mystery
it.
Men.
I'll buy it. Maybe.
Marvels. No Shoveler, but still good.
No Shoveler. That's heartbreaking. So listen. You had one more. I put this in your hand.
I did.
Because it's Pride month.
It was Pride weekend.
And this
week.
is like a super gay book.
This is a super gay superhero book. Actually, a pretty good read. I was a little thrown off. The art's not what I generally am accustomed to in a superhero book, so it took a little getting used to for me.
Yeah, it's got a little more of that like slice of life. I bought this on the indie shelf.
It does.
Kind of vibe, which is okay.
The color does a lot. The color makes up in a way for the pencils, which are a little simplistic. But the color is like such a choice. There's actually one of the single issues in here is talking about color versus being very gray. So it addresses that it's a bright and vibrant book. They're all gay. All of these superheroes are gay. One of them is a drag queen in superhero drag, I guess, and a man in ordinary life. Interesting. Interesting concept. It was a fun read.
Let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Sue me up.
I will. All right. So you have a roommate, and he is a gay man.
I do.
Okay. My question, since comics as an industry, all constantly trying to get that gay reader right now, especially lately. Like there's been a lot of that with Astonishing X-Men. DC's been doing the same thing with Alan Scott over in that Earth 2 book. Would Mikey like that? Do you think, would Mikey read that and be dismissive, or would he think he was being respected and enjoy it?
It's very hard to tell. I think it's told well, but it's not. It loses a little of the superhero-ness because it's working from this conceit initially.
Right.
It's like, what if there was an entirely gay super team?
Right.
So there are lots of like cheesy nods. It's a little campy. It's fun in that way, but I don't know. You know, my roommate is he is strictly X-books.
Yeah, that's what he loves.
And I don't think he'd like the indie flavor of this.
Okay.
So I would say it's more for an indie fan than for a superhero comic fan.
But what if we did like a real superhero book, like Tried and True? Do you think you could do something like that that's like totally mainstream, like full, like Marvel does?
It's
like
so rough. I think the closest we've ever gotten is The Authority.
Yeah.
I mean, with actually dealing with gay superheroes being gay, but still being people and not caricatures.
All right.
So and this is like a loving caricature right here. A loving caricature. Fun book.
Yeah, well, I would be curious if you're an LGBT reader and you end up picking this up, or even like getting in to glance through in the store. Please let us know what you think of it, because I would like. I mean, we're two heteronormative folks, so it's kind of hard to to have an opinion about it, I suppose, in that way. What else? What else did I put in here? Well, I mean, I'll skip to this just real quick, since you love X-Books, I love X-Books, and Mikey loves the X-Books. I had picked up the Dark Phoenix Saga, and now feel like a bit of a dummy and wish that I hadn't, because this collects a lot of the stuff that happens before and some really cool stuff that happens after. And for my money, Dark Phoenix Saga is one of my all-time favorite X stories. I know Mikey loves it too. And
it's the
it's Mikey's like number
X
one.
Story,
Yeah. So this is, how much is this? This is like $25, and it's a honking load of issues. Totally worth it. If you never read Dark Phoenix Saga, or you want to know the stuff that happened a little before, and some of the things that happened after the fact, because they have like a bunch of weird little like what ifs and like little things that happened after the fact, and they all get collected in this. In which the last Dark Phoenix Saga collection did not. They did not have that. So this...
It's like a special edition Dark Phoenix Plus.
Yeah. It's part of the Marvel Masterworks, which is just excellent, especially like these Uncanny ones. This is the 5th one in the series, and I would recommend buying every single one of them. Hey, here's this Hypernaturals. I tried to read this, and I felt like I was having a stroke because there's too much happening at once, too many characters. But you did not mind it quite so much.
I did not. It's real simple. If you like Legion of Superheroes, if you like a superhero-themed space opera, got it right there. It's kind of nice. It doesn't come with a universe. It has the universe it had before. Like, it's its own thing. So if you don't want to try to pick up Legion, if DC is... Are they even doing Legion right now?
Yeah, they are.
They are. If you don't want to pick it up and get a whole bundle of universe with it, this is nice. Seems like it's off to a start. If you like a space opera, if you like some superheroes, pretty good, pretty solid. Right. Not super special. If that's not your cup of tea, don't go out of your way for it.
I'd stick with Saga. That's where my space opera is. And then this, I kind of felt you hate zombies. You're afraid of them.
I am.
You fear them, but I love Dark Horse, and they've been doing this Dark Horse Originals line. I really like Gilbert Hernandez, so I figured I will read this Fatima. I think it's Fatima. That's what we're gonna go with. Fatima, number one.
Wouldn't it be Fatima?
No, it's Fatima.
Is it Fatima?
We got the thumbs up over there, so so in fact I'm correct. Watch yourself.
I'll leave it to you.
Okay. What did you think as a non-zombie person?
You know, it's not even about the zombies in that. It's more I'm not much of a Gilbert Hernandez kind of person.
Oh.
I think that if I was a huge fan of his, I would definitely pick it up.
Shame on you. All right, so here's why I liked it. I like the idea that, because this is a zombie book, and this girl Fatima, she fights the zombies. She fights them. That's her job. But the thing that causes the zombie thing is, instead of it being like a regular, like it's a disease, it's a mystery, it's a drug. It's a drug that you could take, and then it I guess it gives you what you want most, or it's I guess you have this moment of perfectness. But then after that, you become addicted, and then you become a zombie, and then you have to be killed. So I think the question becomes, and then there's this whole concept could there be a cure afterwards? Could you take something and then take something that undoes it, so you get the perfect moment, and then you don't turn into a zombie? But people are willing to delude themselves into believing that's a possibility, all for that idea of being able to have even one moment of pure joy. And I think it speaks to how you feel about life. Is a long life of average equal to or lesser than the idea of taking something and immediately getting something, but dying afterwards in this horrible way? I myself ascribe to the idea that every moment is precious. So I don't know if I agree with that, but we don't live in the most utopian society. Life is hard, and maybe if your life was really terrible, this might be worth it to you. And I think it raises a lot of interesting ethical issues and a lot of philosophical questions. So I really liked it, and I'm really curious to see where it goes. And that's all that you and I... hang on. I would be remiss. We put a ton of stuff on sale in the store, and these are things that are just in the store, just here. I just grabbed off the shelf Wolverine Weapon X for $7, which is super cheap, and this really awesome Winsor McKay Early Works, which is $5. Is crazy cheap. There is a ton of stuff here. Come on down to the sales section. We're going to keep putting more and more stuff there. Very much worth your time. I'm going to be buying a ton of stuff there myself because I'm a big nerd. But that's it. I feel like this has worked out pretty well. You're definitely better than the dummy in that you speak
Well, that's good and bad.
Yes. Oh, and there's a big 4th of July sale. Check out the details. I'll throw up an image real quick. It is going to be, we're open special hours from 9 o'clock to 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. All right. Someone wrote a sign. No, they didn't. I just knew it off the top of my head. I'm crazy. So 4th of July sale, we're going to have a ton of stuff. There's all the details. So come on down. Get a double sale. Why not? And then you and I can do this again maybe next week.
That sounds great.
All right. Well, thanks everybody for watching. Don't forget, comment below, like, subscribe, etc. Everything that we mentioned today available on the website, www.fpnyc.com. Thanks for watching. Keep reading. Bye, everybody. Bye.
Mighty cities have crumbled, and the dinosaurs have returned to reclaim the Earth.
Oh, hey!